Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to your Lunch Break Live. My name is Rosanna. If you are new here, if you are not, thank you for coming back. We have some four-legged friends, obviously, that are also joining us from the background as well. Today, we are going to talk about something that we've already covered a little bit on our site on AL.com and on our social media pages this morning, and that is the killing of a child in Montgomery. This is a 5-week-old baby named Caleb Michael Wisnand Jr. We are going to call him CJ because his father, also named Caleb Michael Wisnand, has been charged with capital murder in his death. We know this has been a story that so many of you have been interested in, especially since yesterday when the parents spoke out at a press conference. So our own Carol Robinson, our crime reporter, is going to come on today, recap this case, and tell you what we know. So Carol, I muted you for a second there. I'm going to unmute you now, but thank you for coming here, for joining us. And we are just going to go with the working from home life.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're working from home, and the dogs are there, there's just nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do. So let's start with the beginning. We know that we're going to call the baby CJ because the father also has the same name. So CJ was reported missing on Monday. Tell us what's happened since then.
It's just been a very bizarre and tight-lipped turn of events. The first thing we heard was early in the pre-dawn hours Tuesday morning when the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency sent out a missing and endangered child alert for CJ, who is 5 weeks old and lived in Montgomery. Called the sheriff's office that morning, tried to get a little bit more because the release was unusually sparse. All it said was that a child was missing. There was no information about how, when, where. We know that the father called 911 at 10:45 from the Circle K on Wetumpka Highway at Monday night, reported his son missing, and that was, pretty much all we knew up until yesterday.
So again, just to recap that, we had the father, Caleb Wisnand, called police about 10:45 p.m. on Monday night, reporting his 5-week-old baby, CJ, missing. So that was Monday. Let's fast forward to Wednesday. That was yesterday. We know the parents, both Caleb Wisnand and 28-year-old mother, Angela Nicole Gardner, the baby's mother, they spoke out at a press conference on Wednesday. So tell us what we learned after that press conference.
That press conference was one of the most unusual I've watched in my 34 years of reporting for Birmingham News and AL.com. The parents were visibly emotional, but not tears. It was just unusual. But what they told us in that press conference was the father told us he didn't remember a lot. All he said was, "I don't remember a lot. And if anybody knows where I went or where I was Monday, you know who you are, let us know." According to Gardner, the mother, and both of them, they were last together as a family Saturday night. The next thing we know, it jumps to Monday night, 48 hours later, and we're told that CJ is missing. Now, I had an exclusive interview with the grandmother, Margaret Hope, who is CJ's grandmother and Nicole Gardner's mother. She said that her daughter Gardner was about to leave Caleb Wisnand, and that she believes he got angry and left the house with the baby. She said her daughter did not see CJ on Mother's Day, and that they had been looking and she had been begging Wisnand to bring the baby back. Next thing we know is the missing child alert. And then on yesterday, when they had the press conference, it was just hours after that, almost immediately after the parents spoke, they were taken back into police quarters, and we can only surmise what happened from there. But shortly afterward, CJ's body was found buried. We just learned that this morning from court records that CJ was buried in rural Lowndes County. And the sheriff, Derek Cunningham, though they initially charged Wisnand with manslaughter, the charges are now upgraded to capital murder based on the autopsy findings. We don't yet know what those autopsy findings were, but we know it was enough to significantly increase the charge.
So there's a lot happening here, but there's also a lot that we don't know. There was a lot of questions asked this morning at that press conference to the Montgomery County Sheriff. Not a lot of those questions answered directly. Most of those questions were answered with a "we're still investigating, we've still got a lot of work to do" type of answer.
Right.
What we do know is what you said. I'll recap that. Is that yesterday, after this somewhat bizarre press conference, the parents of CJ, and that's Caleb Wisnand and Angela Nicole Gardner, they spoke at this press conference, did not give a very clear recollection of what happened between Saturday and Monday and that timeline of when the baby went missing. But regardless, that happened yesterday. And then last night is when we did learn that investigators had located the body of CJ, 5 weeks old, in rural Lowndes County. Now, this morning is when the charges were upgraded from manslaughter to capital murder against the elder Caleb Wisnand. We do not have any information about any other charges that may be coming in this case. I know that is one thing that several people asked at that press conference. That is a one of those "we don't know yet" type of answers. Right. Carol, we don't have any information at this point as to how CJ died.
No, we don't at this point at all. No cause of death. Obviously the manner of death would be homicide because that is what constitutes a capital murder charge, but we do not know what actually caused his death.
And something that you just said that was very interesting, we did not hear this morning at the press conference. We heard this morning that the baby was found in Lowndes County. We did not hear that he was buried. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
After the press conference, I just looked up court records and I found the affidavit for the charging documents for the original manslaughter charge. And that document actually provided a little more information. It said that investigators believe that CJ was killed Monday afternoon between, roughly 3:15, 3:30 to 5:15, 5:30. And then that he was, quote, buried in a remote area in Lowndes County. I had been told it was a shallow grave. The court records back that up. And we don't know why Lowndes County, and we don't know who led them to the body. Although I think common sense would tell you, following the press conference, somebody led them to the body, and somebody led them to the body quickly, because I received word, press conference was at 4:30, and I received word no later than 8 that the body had been found. Family members started to post on Facebook that he had been found dead. And then it was about 10 or a little after when the formal press release came out announcing the charges. So everything moved quickly after that press conference.
Right. And again, we have that video of yesterday's press conference in your story, Carol, that we have linked here. And then we also have the video of this morning's press conference linked in there as well. So if you're just catching up on this case, you can watch both of those press conferences. I would say watch the one from yesterday first and then the one this morning. And you can kind of get a little bit better of an idea of what we're talking about. Now, several questions we're going to get to in just a minute, Carol, but let's start with one first that I saw a lot of people asking on this morning's press conference. And that is questions about an Amber Alert. We know on Monday, early Tuesday, actually, law enforcement did release what is called an emergency missing child alert. And in that alert, really all it said was that there was CJ, 10-pound CJ, last known wearing a camo onesie, was missing. Right. An Amber Alert is something the state issues, but I think a lot of people that don't live in our world do not understand that there are extremely specific requirements for an Amber Alert. So, Carol, can you talk about why the Amber Alert was not issued?
Right. There's a lot of criteria with an Amber Alert. Most importantly, an Amber Alert is only issued when authorities have some kind of identifying information to go on, such as, a suspect or a suspect vehicle, with a description and a license plate. Amber Alerts must have specific information before they are deemed worthy of an Amber Alert. So in this case, there was no suspect description. There was no car description. We did not learn until today in court records, or in a press release, actually, we did not learn today that Wisnand said his son was taken from his car. That was the first we'd heard of that. But again, without a suspect description or a vehicle description, an Amber Alert will not be issued.
So that was early Tuesday morning, what is called an emergency missing child alert went out for CJ. Again, 10 pounds, last known wearing a camo onesie. That was really the only information provided on Tuesday in that alert. So hopefully that answers that question. Now we've got some other questions about drugs, drug related issues in this case. Carol, we know that the elder, Caleb Wisnan, does have some pending drug charges. What else do we know about the drug aspect of this case? That was even asked at the press conference this morning.
Right. Well, he was indicted. The senior Wisnan was indicted in February of this year, stemming from charges that happened last year in Elmore County. He was charged with possession of heroin, possession of methamphetamine, and, equally telling, reckless endangerment. And in the reckless endangerment case, he had been pulled over or attempted lawmen were attempting to pull him over in a pickup truck in which his fiancee Gardner, CJ's mom, was in the vehicle. CJ was not born yet, but at that time, her 2-year-old son, who was an infant at this time, was in a car seat. They said that Wisnan, ran off the road in an effort to avoid the lawmen. He narrowly missed another car. When they stopped him, he told police that he had been on meth for 2 to 3 days and had not slept. And they indicated in the police report that he appeared to still be under the influence of meth. So definitely a past history of drug use, methamphetamines, heroin. I spoke with the Elmore County Chief Deputy District Attorney this morning, and as we spoke, he was typing up a motion to revoke bond in the Elmore County cases. Although the capital murder charge will also hold no bond, it's just basically backup to make sure he stays behind bars for now when they revoke his bond on the previous charges.
Going through again some of these questions, I got a question from Tish asking about the Amber Alert, so she missed that. Tish, the kind of breakdown of that is that an Amber Alert requires very specific details for one to be released. And as of early Tuesday morning, when that emergency missing child alert was issued, there was no information about somebody who may have took CJ. There was no person or vehicle information, and that is required for an Amber Alert. So instead of an Amber Alert, it was called an emergency missing child alert. That went out on Tuesday. Now, Carol, questions about the mother, Angela Gardner, and what we can expect on her going forward in this case. We know this morning the sheriff said that there could be other people charged. He didn't really say a yes or a no there. He said that the case was still being investigated. What do you know about that?
Right now, no charges have been filed against Angela Gardner. And, at this point, we don't know what she knew. Or how much she knew. Her mother obviously says that, she did not know anything, did not take part in anything. And so right now that's all we know. I think there was a lot of public comment following that televised press conference yesterday, about the parents' demeanor and their interaction with each other, almost as if, what they were saying, they were looking to each other for validation on, is that right? Did I say that right? So we just don't know. I mean, it could run the gamut from no charges to charges, depending on what she knew and didn't know.
I know you said, and I will wholeheartedly agree, that was one of the oddest press conferences that you have seen in your over 3 decades career. And while I obviously have not been in this that long, it is definitely, I agree with that statement wholeheartedly. Now, one other question, Carol, and that is about the timeline of this case. Mm-hmm. We know that yesterday at that press conference we've been talking about, there was a comment about how Saturday night was the last time the parents, especially I believe it was Caleb Wisnan, said the last time he remembers seeing CJ. That call to police did not come in until 10:45 Monday night at the Circle K. What happened between that time and what are police saying is accounting for that time?
Yeah, that is one of the biggest holes in what we've been able to put out there. And, initially they said, oh, we were together as a family Saturday night. We were asleep in the bed, and that would be mother, father, and CJ. And Gardner's 2-year-old son was in another room asleep. So then we jumped to Monday night. Wisnan went to the Circle K to get gas or pay for gas. And what Angela Gardner told us was that she was at home with her 2-year-old and that CJ was with Wiznand on Monday night. Nobody, the family, law enforcement officials, nobody has told us what happened and where they were between Saturday night, and Monday night. According to the court documents, CJ was killed Monday afternoon. So that's a good 36 hours roughly that we don't know where they were and what they were doing.
And we know that Sunday was Mother's Day. And I believe you said that according to Angela Gardner's mother, she, meaning Angela Gardner, did not see baby CJ on Sunday.
Right. She has said that Angela Gardner was, telling Wiznand to bring the baby back and that he didn't. Again, police have not confirmed any of the statements given to us by Miss Hope. We have no reason to doubt them, but police have not commented on her comments.
Now, we know, again, this morning there was not a whole lot of information released regarding the details of this case. We do not know how baby CJ was killed. We do know that, as you said, he was found buried in a shallow grave in a rural area of Lowndes County. But unfortunately, that's kind of the extent of our knowledge at this point. So, Carol, when can people expect to learn a little bit more about this case, get a little more detail?
I would say that maybe in the next 24 hours, when they have officially upgraded the charge to capital murder, something might be available in court records. Certainly whenever they set a preliminary hearing date, which can be anywhere from a week to a month or a couple months, that is when the details will come out. It just depends on the department. Local coroners often release death information, autopsy information a little faster than the State Department, the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences. And they said, as the Sheriff Derek Cunningham repeatedly said, they're still very early in the investigation and they don't want to mess up the case. And the ultimate goal is justice and closure for CJ's family. And that will always take precedent over what is released to the public, in my experience.
Absolutely. Well, Carol, thank you so much for coming and updating us about what we know about 5-week-old CJ's just short and sad life and short and sad last few days. Carol, thank you so much. I know you will keep us updated on AL.com.
Thank you.
Everybody watching, thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow.